everyone, Madison LaBerge with NBC5 News here. This week is National Library Week, and I'm so excited to share a little bit of a story with you today. I've chosen Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Deep End. It's a book by Jeff Kinney. It's super fun, really easy to get through. I'm going to read you a few of Greg Heffley's entries, and then you'll be able to continue the story if you decide to pick this book up from the Jackson County Library Services. So let's jump right on in. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Deep End by Jeff Kinney. August, Thursday. I love my family and all, but I don't need to spend 24 hours a day with them 7 days a week. And that's exactly the way it's been around here lately. It's not just me who's getting tired of this either. We're all going a little nuts. And if things don't change soon, I think we're gonna go off the deep end. Mom says we've been cooped up for too long and we just need a vacation. But what we really need is a vacation from each other. And that's not gonna happen anytime soon though, because we don't have any money. And the reason we don't is kind of a long story. Crunch. We've been living in Grandma's basement for 2 months, and I don't know how much longer we can keep going like this. Mom says that one day we'll look back on this time and smile, but she's not the one that has to share a futon with Roderick every night. The crazy thing is, Grandma's got plenty of room in her house, so I don't understand why the whole family has to stay in her basement. When we first got here, I called dibs on the guest room, but Grandma said it was already taken. I don't think Grandma's too thrilled we're living with her because whenever her friends come over, she asks us to stay out of sight. And that's kind of inconvenient since there isn't a bathroom in the basement, and her friends always stay forever. We can't use the kitchen when Grandma's got guests, which means we can't eat dinner until after they're gone. But last night, I guess Roderick got sick of waiting, so he heated up some leftover pizza in Grandma's dryer. There's no TV in Grandma's basement, so the only thing we've got to entertain ourselves with is each other, and believe me, that is not enough. Mom says being bored is good because it makes you use your imagination, but whenever I try it, I always end up imagining the exact same thing. Something that's making this situation a lot harder is that Dad is working from home this summer, which means he's always around. And whenever Dad has a meeting, the rest of us have to pretend we're not there. But that's not always easy to do, especially when you've got a 3-year-old in the family. Most of the time, I just try to keep myself busy. Grandma's got stacks of puzzles down in the basement, and I've done a few of them by myself. But Mom always lets Manny put in the last piece to make him feel important. If you ask me, I don't think Mom's doing Manny any favors by babying him. And it's gotten a lot worse since we started living at Grandma's. Sometimes after dinner, we'll play a board game as a family, but Manny can't handle complicated rules, so we always end up playing a game that doesn't require any skill. We have to go to bed before it's even dark outside because we're all on Manny's schedule. These days, Manny's favorite bedtime story is a Noah's Ark picture book. It's about this guy who hears it's gonna rain for a really long time, so he builds a giant boat to ride out the storm with a bunch of animals. The illustrations in Manny's book are all cartoons, and they make it look like a flood that wiped out half the earth was kind of fun. But I guess if the drawings were more realistic, parents wouldn't buy it for their preschoolers. I've got some questions about the Noah's Ark story though. For starters, I want to know why Noah let venomous creatures like snakes and scorpions on board, because if it was me, I would have used the opportunity to leave a few of those guys behind. And then I would have used the extra space for more of the good animals, like puppies and hedgehogs and those pygmy hippopotamuses. Luckily, Noah didn't have to make room on board for whales and fish because they would have taken up a ton of space, and they probably didn't even know the flood was happening to begin with. But it doesn't make a lot of sense that Noah let birds on the ark, since they would have just flown, and I bet he regretted that decision right away. You only hear about the animals that survived the flood, but sometimes I wonder if there were some cool animals that didn't make it onto the boat. The way the story goes, after it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, it took 150 days for the floodwater to go back down. That means Noah was stuck on the boat with a bunch of animals, plus his wife and his 3 sons. And whenever I feel sorry for myself living in Grandma's basement with my family, I think about Noah, and it makes me feel a little better. Mom keeps saying she's glad we're all together right now because she feels like time has slowed down. I've noticed that too, but for me, it's not a good thing. Something that's making this summer feel really long is that I can't go to my friend Rowley's house, and that's because he's off on some big European vacation with his family. When Rowley first told me about his family's plans, I tried to see if his parents might let me tag along, but I guess Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson aren't as sharp as I thought they were because they never picked up on any of my hints. I'll bet your trip would be more fun if you had a friend along. Yep, wonder who might like to come. So now Rowley's probably off having the time of his life while I'm doing 500-piece puzzles in my grandmother's basement. I think Mom feels bad we can't afford to do anything special this summer, so she's been trying to make up for it. She says we can go anywhere we want if we just use our imaginations. But to be honest, that's not really doing it for me anymore. I think Mom's finally had enough too, because last night she called a family meeting after dinner to brainstorm ideas for vacations that we can afford. But the problem is everyone's got their own idea of a good time. Dad wants to drive around and visit a bunch of Civil War battlefields and take part in a reenactment, but no one else was crazy about putting on wool underwear in the middle of August. Manny wants to go to the animal safari, which we used to visit a lot when I was little, but the animals in that place always seem so sad, especially the donkey they painted to look like a zebra. Mom said we could save money by staying close to home and visiting places in our own community, but I've gone on enough school field trips to feel like I've known this town inside and out. The only ones who could agree on what we should do were me and Roderick. We both voted to go to the Thrills and Spills amusement park, which would be cheap since Grandma got half-price coupons in the mail. Plus, they just opened up a new roller coaster called Track Jumper that's supposed to be totally insane. Mom said the rides at Thrills and Spills are too scary for Manny, so she suggested we go to Storybook Village, which has rides for all ages. But me and Roderick have had enough of Little Miss Muffet's mild ride for one lifetime. Since my family couldn't settle on anything, I suggested we all go on our own vacations and do a slideshow of everyone's trips when we come back. Mom said the whole point of being on a family vacation is to do things together. She says that one day us kids are going to go our separate ways and time's running out to make happy memories as a family. But believe me, for this family to make happy memories together, it's going to take a miracle. Monday. We finally figured out a way we could afford to go on a family vacation this summer. On Saturday night, my great-grandmother Gammy called Dad and asked if he could get rid of Uncle Gary's camper, which has been parked in her driveway for the past 2 years. Apparently Uncle Gary ran off to work as a rodeo clown and she doesn't think he's coming back anytime soon. At first Dad was mad because he's always cleaning up Uncle Gary's messes, but Mom said the camper was the solution to our vacation problems. Mom said the reason vacations are so expensive is because staying in hotels and eating at restaurants costs a lot of money. She says the camper would take care of both of those things. Then Dad started getting excited. He said we should hit the open road and stop for the night whenever we felt like it, and we could cook for ourselves too. All I know is me and my brothers were so happy for the chance to get out of Grandma's basement that we practically would have agreed to anything. Mom says we'll have lots of adventures on the way, and now I'm getting kind of excited about the trip too. In fact, I'm starting to feel a little bad for Rowley, because while he's stuck in some boring museum on the other side of the world, I'm going to be off doing something really wild. For the past 2 days, we've been getting ready for our vacation. I'm a little worried that Mom's hoping to turn this into an educational trip. But believe me, the last thing I'm planning on doing is any learning. All right, guys, I'm going to stop that there. I'm going to put my bookmark in. If you want to continue the rest of Greg's crazy adventures with his family, trust me, it's worth it. It's absolutely hilarious. You can pick this title up and many more at the Jackson County Library Services. Have a great library week. Hopefully you read lots of fun books.